has been system after system pounding the West. And I mean, look at this satellite loop behind us here. You can see it. I mean, the clouds swirling in, dropping record rainfall day after day.
They're not wimpy systems either.
Right.
They're like high-end powerhouse monsters.
So much rain that Los Angeles, now the downtown location, has more rain than any other place, big city that I could find in the U.S. We're talking more than Houston.
It's mind-blowing.
New Orleans.
This might be a historical situation.
Yeah, I mean, look, the data record is short, just going back to January 1st, but it was notable right here because it doesn't often happen that way.
Who would have thought years ago that we'd be dealing with way too much rain in California in particular after so many years of drought?
Right, no. And there's a lot to do with the cleanup now.
Yes, a lot of that happening.
People to go inside.
And adding insult to injury, more rain could soak parts of Southern California today before finally moving out.
The Weather Channel's Justin Michaels live in Los Angeles with a bit of a closer look at how cleanup efforts are faring this morning. A long way to go for a lot of folks, Justin.
Jen, Alex, Dr. Postel, I have some breaking news. It's not raining. And that is welcome for the folks who live here, at least for a little while. Yeah, it is good news that it's not raining.
No, but he was pretty much spot on. So now that we know, well, next week at least is going to be on the warm side here, we want to know what's going to happen beyond that.
So let's bring back Dr. Judah Cohen to see what he has in his crystal ball of weather for us. Dr. Cohen, thank you so much for joining us. And it's the question that everybody wants to know. Based on how mild it's been in the last couple of weeks, are we done with winter, or do you foresee more Arctic outbreaks?
No, I don't think we're done with winter. So I had a tweet earlier.
Very interesting. You know, what led to that breakdown in January that allowed that Arctic air to come out? And by the way, we're very impressed that you predicted that pretty accurately there. But do you think the same thing's going to happen again in February?
Yeah, so I think something very similar is going to happen that we saw in January.
It's so complicated here, but we appreciate you breaking it down for us here. Very interesting. Dr. Judah Cohen, Director of Seasonal Forecasting at Verisk Atmospheric and Environmental Research. Thank you for joining us.
I love the figure skating analogy, right?
Yeah.
It is indeed. Well, you know, if you're a sports fan, you may know the term scoregami. It's when you have a score combination that has never occurred before.
It was new to me. I'm glad to learn it, though, and that inspired this week's Weather Geeks podcast guest to create Weathergami. Dr. Jonathan Call created this fun way to organize and visualize temperature data. You know, it's really cool. And there's like sort of the novelty of it, and then there's the use of it to sort of observe how climate has been changing.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you look at it and you say, okay, this happened today, and you look at the chart and you realize this has not happened before, or it has happened many times.
Weathergami. I feel like it's exciting, too. So we had a Weathergami in Las Vegas this week. It was, a high of 49 and low 46 had never happened before, and it happened on Monday.
Right. So that's a historical record of the combination of highs and lows that we've seen. It's a scatter plot of high versus low. And, I mean, what you said was not shown up in the past.
How cool is that?
Yeah, you don't really get weather like that where it's so humid and cold at the same time in Vegas. So that was pretty impressive and interesting. You can learn more and catch new episodes of the Weather Geeks podcast every Wednesday on your favorite podcast service. You can also watch the podcast on the Weather Channel streaming app. A scoregami, it's big in the NFL world. That's kind of how it got started. And we count down to the Super Bowl. We actually want to look at some stats here, how Kansas City and San Francisco stack up when it comes to these weather stats.
Wow.
All right, so let's start with days of 70 degrees. And so this is how I like to kind of pit teams against each other. I don't know anything about football, but I do know about the weather. Who's had more 70-degree days?
San Francisco or Kansas City since September 1st?
Yeah.
Is it me clicking?
System after system pounding the West, and as you can see in this satellite loop behind us, you see all the clouds all swirling in. They dropped record rainfall over the last week on multiple days in California.
It's been insane amount of rain. In fact, your stat, Jen, I have to give you all the credit. This is pretty incredible.
I was looking at how much rain they just had in LA, and I was like, I wonder who else has had this much rain, just going back to the start of the year. And I could not find another big city that had more rain than downtown LA.
And we're 6 weeks into the new year.
And I checked Houston, I checked New Orleans. Now, someone did find a caveat. Lufkin, Texas has had more, but only like an inch or two. So,
I mean, the fact that it's even that close.
Right. Yes.
It is weird to think now that California and the West dealing with so much precipitation after so many years of drought.
Yeah.
Well, there is a lot to clean up. And
Yikes. And, adding insult to injury, more rain could soak parts of Southern California today before finally moving out.
Well, the Weather Channel's Justin Michaels is live in Los Angeles with a closer look at how cleanup efforts are faring this morning. And I got to say, Justin, it's got to be nice to see some breakage in the clouds and some sunshine.
Definitely. This is going to be a good day to do a little bit of drying out. I know more rain is in the forecast this evening.